Our final guest tonight is the wonderful Christina Tobin, the founder of Free and Equal, who has done such an incredible job bringing the third parties, or rather in this 2012 election, the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth party candidates to the national dialogue. Although I have to say, it's still really sad that it wasn't able to break through. And you know, my personal favorite of them, of course, Gary Johnson. You always hope, at least as long as you're a libertarian, that this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year that everybody looks at the three candidates instead of the two candidates. And it still didn't quite happen. But that's why we're having Christina Tobin back on to talk about what she's doing moving forward, what people can do to support Free and Equal, and what she's looking forward to in 2014. Christina, thanks so much for joining us again.
Hey, Adam. Always a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Christina.
Hey.
So does that put the work that you're doing with Free and Equal at least into proper context moving forward, looking to 2014?
Well, it does. I just have to disagree with you on one point, and that is the fact that we have changed the national dialogue. And the thing is, we've been really busy since the election. Things did not slow down. They've actually, in fact, gotten way busier. It seemed like things were slower during the actual debate itself. But, you know, in reaching over 20 million people worldwide in the presidential debate, we have so many big things coming up around this year, in 2013. I'd love to talk to you more about that.
Well, I apologize if I meant it in any way belittling, because I mean to in any way reduce the significance of your efforts. And what you were able to do with the third-party debates last year was absolutely incredible. And I did move the ball forward. But, you know, there's this point of critical mass that I think this effort to get third parties the attention that they deserve, or just even a fair shake in the electoral process, there's a point of critical mass of public awareness that we haven't gotten to yet. Am I wrong?
You're definitely right on that, but what's great is that we're going to. So with a positive, powerful, peaceful message that's evolving here at Free and Equal, we're about building others. And the success of that debate did not derive from just Free and Equal alone. It was from all the sponsors, you know, that 50, 100, and soon to be for the next ones, thousands and so on for upcoming events we have going on. You know, from political correspondents like Amber Lyon, and I know Ben Swan was supposed to be there and couldn't because, you know, Fox has kind of got his hands tied behind his back. He's amazing. To Josh Tolley and Tom Hartman, #1 progressive radio show in the U.S. I mean, it's these leaders coming together that made this debate successful. And of course, Larry King, thanks for his support towards Free and Equal. We anticipate many more celebrities and musicians and authors and leaders and media correspondents hopping on board with this movement in 2013, which is growing rapidly.
Is 2014 going to be the year?
It has to be. It's going to be the beginning. I foresee a lot of independents winning for those local races in 14, and come 18, it will be probably all of them. So at least half of the races, I think, will be won by independents, if not more. I'm kind of lowballing it here. So
half? Are you saying like House races? I mean, you got to like at least kind of qualify that. How you think half of House races in 2014?
State, local, House, congressional, all the local races in 14. Independents, third-party candidates. I think a lot of independents are going to run third-party because the ballot access is easier to get on the ballot. But we're going to see a shift. We're going to see people are going to start seeing candidates as individuals, not as party leaders, but just for who they are and what they stand for. And with social media, technology, and Free and Equal here, working with many other amazing groups, laying down the foundation, which will enable these individual candidates to have a level playing field, that is, to actually win these races. And we're going to do that here at Free and Equal, working with many others.
2 or 3 election cycles ago, I would have said you're full of crap. There's no way that's going to happen. There's no way we get to that point. And I'm turning it over in my head right now. Half of all offices or elections won by independent or third-party candidates. I'm still skeptical. I don't see it happening in 2014. 2016, you have a presidential race. You have a greater public engagement in the process. 2018, you might start seeing that. 2016 being a turning point towards that. But in 2014, even now, I'm tempted to think anything can happen. It's the age of the internet. And the way you put it so simply, that all it takes is for the voters to stop thinking of candidates as members of parties, but as individuals. And that is a significant paradigm shift. And in the age of the internet, things like that could happen. And when it does happen, it will happen in less than the course of an election cycle. Whether or not it's going to be 2014, I'm still skeptical, but I think you're right, and you're working towards the right thing in thinking that there is going to be such a shift that happens as a paradigm shift, and it is going to be probably really in the course of 1 or 2 election cycles, and then government is going to be radically altered, and then it's going to be over. But that's now I'm going way too far forward. So, Christina, tell me, what is Free and Equal, and what are you doing in 2013 to make this happen?
Thanks. Free and Equal, we are a nonprofit organization. We are the movement uniting all leaders, musicians, authors, media, correspondents across the political spectrum to break the stranglehold of the two-party system. And the two-party system, I hold no negative feelings towards Obama, towards Bush. If anything, I feel sad for them. The two parties alike have been playing us for centuries now, and they're owned, by corporations, which in return, the Federal Reserve, United Nations, the elite, the guys at the top, Rockefeller, Rothschild, the oil industry, to the banks and so on. They've been playing us. They want more. They make more money off of that. And there's no doubt in my mind the world order is definitely something of interest for them. But again, I hold no hard feeling towards those guys either, because if they weren't there, somebody else would take the place. So the electoral system is key. It is the key to fixing, working with leaders from Thrive, Mr. Foster Gamble, and, that messaging, taking that positive, peaceful message and reforming the system. And the first step in doing that, what we'll be doing this year, is launching our bus tour here at Free and Equal across the United States. We anticipate political correspondence, like I mentioned before, to leaders like Jill Stein, the former Green Party presidential candidate, to Gary Johnson. All these people coming together. Jesse Ventura, he left me a message a couple weeks ago. I spoke with Ralph Nader, getting close to Ron Paul, we'll see. But, all these leaders across the spectrum being a part of this tour, and the music. The music's going to be great. We're looking at the Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, you've probably seen Billy Corgan.
That's my favorite band.
People have come on InfoWars, and I really love what he had to say there, interviewing with Alex Jones. And, you bring in people with great messaging and music, and newer music too as well. And you bring that all together and you create this movement, and it's going to be unstoppable, Adam. I mean, last year, I would have, to have Larry King, a debate seen by 20 million people, allegedly, I've been told, and the numbers crunching, I still can't believe it, but it is true. Worldwide, top 10 trending on Twitter. How did that happen? I mean, that's amazing. I always thought it would, but to actually see it happen is so. To think, can we have independence in 14 when? Well, we can. We have to, because if we don't think that way, then the system has won. And that's definitely not the direction I feel that most of us want to go in. There are far more of us than there are of them, and we are going to unite in 2013.
Well, there are a lot of people who seem to be grasping for some way that they can come together with others who see these problems. And it's a unique challenge when you're such an ideological blowhard as myself to get people to fully be on board in a specific course towards change. But the work that you're doing is so important because it brings together people who might not have some particular ideological grounding, but see these problems and want to get involved and want to challenge the system.
I think one thing that you, Christina, pointed out that is really great is the movie Thrive. And everyone, if you need a positive boost into really getting out there and doing positive activism, watch the whole movie, not just the first 3 quarters, because that basically says why everything's so fucked up and what we're in, but the last quarter of what we can do to change it. That's a great thing. I'm glad you mentioned it, Christina.
Thank you.
And I urge you also to check out intellectualrevolution.tv. Again, that's intellectualrevolution.tv. It's the online educational website. Guys there, Ty and Matt, I know, Adam, they're going to be on your show in the future. I can't wait to see that. And we'll publicize it at Free and Equal, too, to all of our supporters and so on, that interview. But in any case, we plan on really having a long-term relationship with those guys, and the powerful, positive, again, the messaging and educating, the educational movement, intellectual movement that's evolving is just so amazing too. So, leaders like that and Thrive, and it just goes on and on. And again, at Free and Equal, our bus tour, there's talks of it turning into a documentary, a TV. So, you bring that all together, Adam, and it's a huge game changer. And people want to shift back to the origins of the Constitution. Founding fathers wanted, and social media technology is going to enable us to do that.
You really are the perfect person for this job. And I've seen you run for office. I've seen you engaged in other activism. I feel like you have found the perfect niche for yourself. You have really hit your stride with Free and Equal. And in terms of bringing people together, I don't know how you have the patience to do it, but what first got you involved in this? You ran for Secretary of State in California, and obviously we're not referring to you as Madam Secretary right now, but there were some unique challenges, I understand, in the electoral process in California that brought you to that. But with what you're doing now, too, you really have just the perfect, beautiful smile and the appropriate demeanor to get people to put down the petty ideological arguments between those of us that want to challenge this process and bring them together. I mean, if you have to go back to your childhood, please do. But what is it that first got you interested in this?
Ever since I was a child, I just always kind of taken the lead on things. And again, the Ralph Nader quote, create more leaders. A true leader creates more leaders, not followers. And that's a very inspirational thing that I live by every day. And I've mentioned before, my father, Jim Tobin, he really ignited something in me. And he ran for governor in Illinois back in '98. And I saw the electoral system then in Chicago, which is known to be the worst, and it is. And I saw what they did to keep him off the ballot. And my dad actually filed suit against the system and spent over $1 million trying to get on the ballot. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court in Illinois didn't take the case, of course, because he's challenging the system, and the judicial system's flawed as well because they're appointed by the people in office who are controlled by the elite, the money at the top. So it really stemmed from that. And next thing I knew, I got him on the ballot 4 years later as lieutenant governor, and then Ralph Nader in '04. I didn't get him on the ballot, but I sued the Democratic House Majority Leader in Illinois, Michael Madigan, for using full-time state employees, taxpayers' dollars to keep Ralph Nader off the ballot. And '06, it just kept growing. I got the Green Party on the ballot in Illinois, which was hard to do. And '08, national for Ralph Nader, all 50 states to get him on the ballot. It would have done it for Ron Paul simultaneously, too, if he had ran, but he didn't, because the ballot access barriers, all these signatures just to get on the ballot. So here I am today. It evolved into the debates with a huge issue, taking down, or for that matter, putting the Commission on Presidential Debates out of business in 2016. I foresee that happening. The networks, NBC, ABC, already a disconnect between the government wanting to create their own network and kind of stepping on NBC, ABC. They're really not getting along too well recently, with Hillary Clinton proposing money for their own entity, own network. Ben Swan broke that story, but great reporter. So, I do foresee Free and Equal coming into whether it's a huge monetary movement of being able to create our own network, television series, and uniting all of this honest movement. And again, our agenda is just pure. Others, and when the electoral system is fixed, we're going to see science. That's why the movie Thrive is so powerful, because science, we're living in the dark ages now, Adam. We could be living longer, stem cells. If we get the right money, good, honest money in science, it'll go in the direction that we want it to go in. And so it's just, I want to see people living longer, happier, prosperous lives, thriving. And that's the extent of it. That's my role during this limited time I have on Earth. So
awesome.
Mhm.
Do you have a question from the chat or anything you want to add, Amanda?
Well, my question actually is just from me. It's for Christina. I'm just wondering the longer and happier lives which we want to see humanity eventually come into. Do you think that that will happen through the furthering of government, even the bettering of government, or do you think that that's most likely to happen eventually without government?
If we follow the steps of our founding fathers, which again, free and equal, the name free and equal elections originates from the Constitution. All elections shall be free and equal. What I foresee happening in the movement is government will be cut back. Michael Badnarik, a scholar in the Constitution, I've met with him quite a few times. I've learned so much from him. ConstitutionPreservation.com. He told me, in order to get back to the origin of the Constitution, government needs to be cut back up to 80%. But again, when you clear up the electoral system and bring in independence, we let the people decide at the state level, local level, whatever, it make it even more tight. I don't know, but my role is to open up that dialogue and discussion. I do foresee government cut back 40, 50, 60, up to 80%, and the integrity of the government coming to the surface and it doing what it was supposed to do, and that's what the Constitution has taught us. So I do see government still being here, but in the demeanor that of our founding fathers wanted it to be, and with social media and technology being the key to the Constitution, I see that happening. I see us creating not only our own media, but creating history at a level of history that's never been done before. It's going to be really a great couple of years here.
Well, I think getting rid of 80% of government would at least be a nice start. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight is Christina Tobin of Free and Equal, the founder of the Free and Equal Foundation, freeandequal.org, and doing incredible work to bring people together who I think will at least help get us to that 80% point.
Word help.
Sir, this is your last warning.
Oh shit, I'm 9 inches away from your crotch, and I'm feeling your penis.